it's only 3 for a reason, and you need to stay away from this game because, like you said, this is probably a kitchen sink game for the Chargers. And you look at the way Justin Herbert has been playing. He's been playing lights out like a top 5 quarterback. So I think both of these teams are going to go head to head. And what do we say about every single Chargers game? It's either one team having the lead or having a deficit at the end of the game, and it's typically a one-score game. So I expect the same thing here. I'm going to stay away from it.
I understand that, and it's probably wise to stay away, but I'm warning you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is a bailout special, and you know what happens with those bailout specials on Sunday night? They normally don't go according to plan. So Chargers, the right side in this game. Just saying. House, you're up. What's your outline of the week?
Yeah, I'm sorry to do this to everybody out there, but we are going to the NFC South. Both of these teams, the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints, coming off a bye. For some reason, the Saints are favored by 1.5 points. I guess it's because the Falcons have lost 4 of their last 5 games, but I can't discern any difference whatsoever between these garbage teams. Desmond Ridder is back at quarterback over Taylor Heineke. Congratulations. Derek Carr is through the concussion protocol. He's going to play today. Thank God. I think in an instance like this, where going through the card, trying to handicap this thing, the Saints come in less healthy. Marshawn Lattimore out for the season. Michael Thomas not playing today. I'll take the healthier team. I'll take the home team. I like the Falcons here. I don't understand what the principle is for why the Saints are favored, fellas.
House, you have to remember, I know you, I don't know what happened to you, but you, me, and the sportsish guy put in a monster parlay, division winning parlay, and the Saints headline that. And now we're picking that. This is who they have to beat, House. The Falcons. We better start talking up the Saints so they believe in themselves.
You know how we do it, Sal. We talk down the teams that we need to win these things.
Okay. All right.
Our mush is famous.
That's true. That's true.
All right. Your mush may be famous, Sal. I have money on Atlanta to win the division. I also have money on Atlanta to make the playoffs. I don't feel good about either one of those bets. And I don't like this game. I have no desire to bet on this game. Should I try to cut my losses here and take New Orleans, thinking if they win today, they're going to win the division? Like, is that my out? Taking New Orleans today at only -1.5?
It's a hedge that in your mind it might work out, but there's still so much game to play. There's still 7 more weeks on the slate. So I don't know that exactly you'll get your money back if the Saints win this game. They could easily lose 3 in a row down the road. I don't know why we made that bet. Any of us betting on this division. Terrible.
And Raheem, I know
I think you should double down. I think you should double down and get your money today. Bet the Falcons today, get your money today, and if they just lose the rest of the games, you got your money back.
Well, Raheem, I was waiting for you to drop the hedging is for gardeners. That's really where I thought you were going with that. So I'm waiting for the sign that, by the way, is going to be up in my Zoom background. Hedging is for gardeners. Remember that. I am not hedging. If anything, Raheem's right. Maybe I'll double down on the Atlanta Falcons. All right, Raheem, speaking of SGPs, though, Sal had a good one with Buffalo. What do you have in store for an SGP on Sunday?
Okay, I'm going to go with the Steelers money line. Steelers over 18.5 total points. Warren, 60+ rushing yards, and Kenny Pickett over a half touchdown. So Mike Tomlin, he fired Matt Canada today. Finally. If you look at 45 games with Matt Canada since 2021, the Steelers have failed to produce a game with more than 400 yards of offense. The rest of the NFL has had 333 games in that span. So this same game parlay is basically a big FU to Matt Canada. So that's how we're going to play this. I mean, I'm looking at it like this. The Steelers are going to score some points today against this Bengals defense, which hasn't been very good. You look at the Bengals. They've really struggled to stop the run. They have a bottom 5 rush defense. I expect Jalen Warren to have a big day. He's rushed for 88 or more yards and 15 fewer carries in each of the Steelers' last 3 games. So that's my same game parlay.
And Sal, I knew Raheem was going with the Steelers because he's basically rocking the black and gold like he should be out at Heinz Field, for goodness sakes, today.
He's got the bumblebee costume left over from Halloween. Yeah, listen, I don't mind this strategy. Like, all right, the Steelers wake up offensively, and you're right there for it, Raheem, the whole way. I love Warren 60-plus rushing yards in any situation. And if you really think the difference is made in the offensive coordinator switch, Pickett to throw a touchdown with over 17, 18 points is right there for you. But the Steelers are just so weird all year long.
Gentlemen, it's now time to see the future, because we're going to take a look at some of the futures odds that are on FanDuel Sportsbook at the moment. And after what happened on Thanksgiving with the Green Bay Packers going and taking care of the Detroit Lions outright, look at that right there. The Packers, who were much maligned, you could have got them at a way juicier price just a couple weeks ago. Now to make the playoffs, it's all the way down to plus 118. House, I told you I liked Green Bay the other day. I wish I had the stones to take them on the money line, which I did not. All of a sudden now, there's an avenue and a pathway for you and for Raheem, who might have had some money on the Packers, maybe his overs, maybe his playoff bets from early in the year, to go and cash those. Would you, House, take a gander and take a stab at the Packers at this price, at plus 118 to make the playoffs?
Yeah, I want the plus odds now that you get for the Packers, because what you're really assessing, in my humble estimation, is there a path for the Packers to get to 9 wins? For my estimation, we're talking about 3 teams and 2 slots, because looking at the dastardly NFC South, only 1 team is coming out of there. There's no way that we're going to get 2 teams out of there, with both the Vikings and the Seahawks sitting at 6-5, and the Packers coming up here at 5-6. The remaining schedule for the Packers is reasonable after this coming week against the Chiefs. So the real question is, if you believe in the Packers, do you wait and get better odds when they lose to the Chiefs, or do you go ahead and play them right now? But the Seahawks have a brutal schedule coming up. Dallas, they're at San Francisco, they're home versus the Eagles. So if you count those as 3 losses, then all of a sudden you're talking about the Seahawks sitting at 6-8 with 3 games left that they all have to win if you believe that you need to get to 9 wins in the NFC. The Vikings' remaining schedule, they're home against the Bears on Monday night. It feels like a little bit of a nervous game from my perspective. At the Raiders, at the Bengals. They have the Lions twice and the Packers once in their last 3 games, the Vikings. So the path to the Packers to get to 9 wins could include them losing to the Chiefs and then winning out. They have the Giants, the Buccaneers, the Panthers, the Vikings, and they finish the season at the Bears. That feels a little bit easier to me. So that's kind of the way that I'm handicapping this thing, fellas.
I like it. And Sal, I'm betting on Seattle miss the playoffs. You see their schedule over the next 3 weeks? They got Dallas, they got San Francisco, they got Philadelphia. And Geno Smith has not been the same quarterback he was last year. Seattle, no, it sounds crazy. I think they could miss the postseason.
House laid it out perfectly. They could easily be 6-8, and then over the next after the next couple of weeks. Kenneth Walker not healthy. You know, it's they're not the same team we saw last year for sure. So yeah, I'm in the same boat as House. I think Dallas is the only wild card that's kind of cinched up there. We're looking at the Vikings. They should be the 6th seed. And then Seattle. So it's Seattle against Green Bay. If you don't think any of those NFC South teams are going to make it, as House pointed out, Giants, Panthers, Bears still on the schedule. Outside of Arizona, those are the 3 bottom dwellers, right? Those are 3. That's who you want on your schedule. It's really going to come down probably to December 17th against the Bucs. They have to win that home game. They have to beat them in 3 weeks. But as long as that's a plus number, I don't mind it. Is it possible Jordan Love has taught himself how to be a decent quarterback? We see all these bad quarterbacks continue to be bad week after week. I think Jordan Love has gotten better.
You know, I don't like this one at all.
Okay. Okay.
And a big reason for it is the price. And I don't think you're getting a ton of value on them at plus 118. As House pointed out, they do play the Kansas City Chiefs next week. And I expect that to be a loss, especially with the Kansas City Chiefs. They coming off their loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the one thing that I think stands out to me is there's another one on the board. And I think it has a ton of value. And if you look at the Los Angeles Rams, plus 420, they are just 1 game behind the Packers right now. And I know the Packers did beat them, so the Packers have the tie break. But at plus 420, there's a ton of value if you have a healthy Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua down the stretch, because I think this team can light it up. And you guys already mentioned that you don't like Seattle. So if you don't like Seattle, somebody else has to creep into that wild card spot. And you look at the Green Bay Packers, they're playing multiple division games to end the season. They play the Vikings, they play the Bears. Those are losable games. So at plus 420, I want to grab the Rams right now. I think they win today against the Arizona Cardinals, and then that line gets chopped in half.
Raheem just loves the 420 number. If that was 425, he wouldn't give a crap about it, but he's all about 420.
Hey, he's throwing in 420, then more power to you. You know what, though? They beat Seattle twice, 420 and on. I'm adding the price. Let's freaking go. We got a lot more to do on this edition of Ringer Wise Guys. Well, man's best bet, emails, wise guys, please advise, all that more. It's coming up next. Welcome back to Ringer Wise Guys right here on FanDuel TV, and check out that outstanding lineup of programming coming your way later in the week. Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern, it's Joe House, Raheem Palmer, John Jastremski. The East Coast Bias Boys will be rocking. Then on Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, it's Cousin Sal. Full cast of characters. You never know who's stopping by on Cousin Sal's winning weekend. Thursday, East Coast Bias at 9 a.m. Friday, Cousin Sal's winning weekend at 10 a.m. That's right here on FanDuel TV. All right, gentlemen, it's time for Ringer Wise Guys. Will you please advise? Happy Week 12 and happy belated Thanksgiving. With the Jags and Texans scoring off today, I was taking a peek at the AFC South futures odds. The Texans at plus 230 are tempting. The Jags are laying 250. Can I get anybody's blessing on a Houston play here? Thanks for making Sunday mornings fun. That's from Carl in El Segundo, California. And Raheem, you're the perfect guy to ask this question to because you are invested in the Houston Texans today. Do you think if you like the Texans at plus 1.5, and I would make the argument this is a good play and a wise play, they'll have the head-to-head tiebreaker over Jacksonville. Should you sprinkle a little on the Texans to win the division in addition to that?
Yeah, I really like this play, and I wish I had thought of it myself because, like you said, if the Texans win today, they will have the head-to-head tiebreaker. Obviously, the Jaguars have games against the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens coming up. So I think that makes their schedule a little bit tough. So I like this play a lot.
I do too. Now, Sal, I know you're not going to like it because you're on Jacksonville today, but I think for someone who is betting Houston, you might as well.
Yeah, well, first of all, Carl's from El Segundo, California, home of the Little League World Series champ. So he's hot right now. His town is hot right now. So who am I to get in his way? But I like the Jags today, so I can't really endorse this. But I don't know. I think you can go right either way with the Texans, right? So if you take the Texans at plus money today, I know you're not getting plus, 230, but, they still have some work to do. So they'd have to pretty much win today for your bet to come through for the division. So maybe take them today, maybe do half and half, I think, because you're still going to have to get a win in there at even odds the rest of the way.
And I think regardless of what happens, D'Amico Ryans and CJ Stroud are going to be playing a January football game. I do think when it's all said and done, Houston is going to find their way into the postseason, and maybe a little buyer's remorse, because on East Coast bias, House, Raheem, and I were going through in November, the Chargers, the Jets, and the Texans, and we actually thought the Jets out of those three were the best bet to make the postseason. We could not have been more wrong. Okay, House, we don't want to be wrong on this. We got an SGP, the third one here from the Wise Guys. The floor is yours, sir. Take it away.
Yeah, I'm going back to that Baltimore Chargers game, and we're doing a four-legger because we're trying to catch the maximum juice after this Thanksgiving. I already made the case for the Ravens in the first half, laying 1.5 on the spread. All the Ravens really have to do is win the first half. You're combining that with the Ravens team total point 5.5. This is up against a Chargers defense that mounts no resistance whatsoever, that just lost Joey Bosa. They are on a tear of at least 31 points every game, this Ravens offense. And then we're putting that together with a couple individual player props. Gus Edwards, anytime touchdown. All he's done is score in every game, the last 5 games. I think he has 9 touchdowns. When they get inside the red zone, when they get near the goal line, Gus Edwards is getting the football. He is an anytime touchdown machine. And then the real sort of speculative nature of this one is my guy Keaton Mitchell, who we keep asking to get touches in this Baltimore Ravens offense. He is their most explosive player in the backfield. And I like the idea of a single screen pass to Keaton that he busts for 25 yards. We cash it right away. We can get this thing taken care of really by the first half, fellas. I mean, all 4 of these legs are eligible to be knocked out in the first half. Let's go ahead and get it done.
So I'm a little concerned about this one, just because, I had it in my rat lines earlier, but there's a part of me that thinks this Ravens defense is slightly overrated. Like when you look at their schedule, who have they really played this year? They played CJ Stroud in his first game. They played the Cincinnati Bengals once when Joe Burrow still had his calf injury. And then in the second time they played, Joe Burrow was on the verge of carving them up before getting injured on a touchdown pass. So they really haven't played a lot of top tier competition. And the way Justin Herbert is playing right now, I'm a little concerned for your Ravens bet. Now, the biggest thing for me is that Mark Andrews is out, and I think he's their security blanket. So I need to see how they perform without Mark Andrews before I can make any wagers on the Ravens at this time.
All right, fellas, we will have a guest pick. This one comes from my buddy Big Waz, who's a New Yorker through and through, even though he's a trader and he moved out to California like Sal, but here he is. He has his guest pick.
What's up, Wise Guy La Familia? It's Big Waz, and I think we got a pretty tasty pick this Sunday night in prime time here in Los Angeles, California. The Ravens are 3.5-point favorites against the LA Chargers. As you guys know, the Chargers are in complete free fall. Their coach is snapping at people in press conferences. He refuses to give up the reins of that defense, and that's where they struggle mightily. The Ravens, meanwhile, are probably a top 5 most potent offensive attack in the NFL. I think they're going to take care of business on the road against a team that doesn't have much of a home field advantage in the Los Angeles Chargers. This is finally the game that gets their coach fired. Ravens 3.5-point favorites on the road. Book it.
Appreciate the pick, Big Waz. So we got to do a little spell check there on that graphics board, because if you want to get +3 with the Ravens, you got to lay some serious wood. I know you weren't doing that. It's -3. And unfortunately, Waz, you're not getting the seal of approval from this guy because we're going mano-a-mano. That's the spirit of Week 12. You know, we should be in the spirit of giving thanks. And instead, we're in the spirit of, you know, mano-a-mano, duking it out. Hopefully some heads-up wagers going my way and not his way. Anyway, now time's for man's best bet. Sal, in the spirit of going heads up, it's time for your man's best bet. What do we have, sir?
All right. Well, I appreciate Waz, and, you know, in the spirit of being a native New Yorker and then moving to California, he has the same hat as I do, the Brooklyn Dodgers hat, but that's not the Dodger blue, but you have to have the B. It represents, I have exactly the same hat. I do not have the same bet, JJ. I have the Chargers as my dog, +138. Yes, that's a dog that looks like it's going to end up biting you, but it might even just laugh at you. We might just have a hyena up there, because Chargers as an underdog to win a game, really, what am I doing here? I don't even know why I'm glad that Raheem laid out reasons why the Ravens might lose. I don't have that many, even though I'm taking the Chargers, except that public opinion is now so far against the Chargers. Now we know this is when they sneak in a weird win, right? This is where they screw you up, and everyone's like, oh, yeah, the last place Chargers are going to make the playoffs. What were we thinking all along? I'm thinking, so that's it. You can't really measure that in a power ranking situation. I'll reiterate a few things that Raheem said. Mark Andrews, security blanket, for sure. He's out. Beckham and Flowers, well, you know, they weren't supposed to play as of Thursday. Now they're going to be in. They're going to be playing banged up. This is a Ravens offense that's 20th in the league in passing, and now they're going against the Chargers. Say what you want about them. Against with Staley blowing up in the press conference, not usually a good sign. You know, it's going to be probably a dumb field goal miss, a dumb Staley call. They play it close, but they are still a top 8 team in points scored. I'm hot. I've hit 3 in a row. I can't believe it. I'm coming for you, Joe House, and I can't believe I'm putting my reputation on the line with the LA Chargers, but I am doing that.
By the way, Sal, if we were playing a game on this fine morning, security blanket, you got to rip a shot every time you hear that, you would be hammered watching Ringer Wise, guys. Just throwing that out there.
You're right. We might as well have done a pregame show for the night game. We should have come on 7 Eastern, because this is the only game we're talking about. This is unbelievable how much we like this.
A lot of love for Sunday Night Football and a lot of contrasting opinions on Sunday Night Football. Now, you guys are looking for a united front. You're going to get a united front for the first ever time here for Man's Best Bet, because I'm teaming up with the Dream. We like the Buffalo Bills outright. Look at these two happy dogs. They're symbiotic. They're singing Kumbaya, and they're going to be cashing a ticket. This is a great spot to take Buffalo. Buffalo is playing for the postseason. Every game is so crucial for them over these next few weeks. And if you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, this has, in my opinion, letdown spot written all over it. They're coming off their win of the year against the Kansas City Chiefs, the revenge game for the Super Bowl. What are the next 2 games on the horizon for Philadelphia? They have an NFC Championship game rematch Sunday next week against the 49ers. The following week, they go to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. So to me, Dream, this is such a sandwich spot. This line has moved off 3.5 to 3. And I think Buffalo is going to come out firing here. I really do. Bills outright. I made the case. What's your case?
Okay, what do I always say on this show? There's only so long fake thugs can pretend. The Eagles are the biggest fake thug of them all. I know Bill's going to say that I'm biased because I'm a Cowboys fan from Philadelphia, but the Eagles are 9-1 with a Pythagorean expectation of just 6.5 wins. The Bills are actually the better team. The Bills are 6-5 with a Pythagorean expectation of 8.5 wins. At some point, this is going to regress to the mean. The Bills are 5th in DVOA. The Eagles are 10th in DVOA. The Eagles are lucky to escape with their last 2 wins. Cowboys had the ball on the 5-yard line and couldn't get it in. The Eagles won 28-23. The Chiefs, they won 21-17, and Marcus Valdez-Scantling dropped a wide open touchdown. So they should have lost both of those games. Josh Allen is 6-8-2 against the spread as an underdog in his career, 67%, and he's won 5 of the past 8 outright. So I really like this spot for the Buffalo Bills. More importantly, when you break down the actual matchup, the Eagles, they stink against the pass, 19th in DVOA. And we know the Eagles can stop the run, but what does it matter? Because the Bills don't run the ball. So this Bills team is going to be able to pass all over the Eagles with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. And you look at the Bills, they're finally getting their defense together. They've looked a lot better recently. If they could just not turn the ball over, they're going to win this game by a touchdown or more.
Sal, I see you covering your eyes there. You did not get on board with the dream
No,
team.
no,
AJ
no.
and Raheem.
I love this. My same game parlays all over the Bills. I just didn't want to hear about how the Cowboys lost to them again because it's so I have not been able to block that out. And Raheem, I'll add to that. Joe House's terrible Commanders had him over a barrel twice, right? 1-point losses. They could. Rowboat Ron goes for 2 in any of those situations. It might be a different story. I love that pick, that Bills pick.
And I'm gonna go out on a limb right here on Ringo Wise, guys. If the Cowboys play the Eagles in the postseason, the Cowboys are gonna knock them out. I guarantee it.
I'm gonna cover my eyes again.
Save this video, clip it up, put it on FanDuel TV, because if they play in the postseason, I guarantee the Cowboys throw them in the bushes.
By the way, Jack Wilson, our esteemed producer, I need this video played in my life on repeat. And for what it's worth, after spending a weekend in Philadelphia, I will be rooting hard for the Dallas Cowboys to go and knock them out. But anyway, House, last but not least, you are the man of the dog. You are the dog master. So the floor is yours. What's your underdog of the week?
Well, I can't possibly follow up all that heat, but we're going back to the poor NFC South. We're going to have the graphic up. I like this Falcons team adjusted line. I made the case in the rat line. I think that this line should be Atlanta at home. Line -2.5. It's a lovely 3-legged dog because there's only 3 teams that we talk about in the NFC South. The Carolina Panthers don't count. So this God bless this beloved dog. But look, I made the case for the Falcons during the rat line segment. Just a couple additional observations. The Falcons' turnover luck has been brutal. They have lost 9 of 11 fumbles. Just some basic regression there. They have the more reliable special teams. I like their special teams better than the Saints. And, you know, the other aspect of this, any opportunity, and I mean any opportunity to fade Dennis Allen, we get in there. Dennis Allen in his career as a head coach, 5-13-2 against the spread, against divisional opponents. He went 4-7-1 with the Raiders. With the Saints, he is 1-6-1 as a head coach against the spread. That is abysmal. The Falcons winning by a field goal. My guy, Koo, the most reliable kicker in the entire NFL. Plus 126. Falcons -2.5. That's how we get it done, JJ.
JJ, if I told you how much, all this anti-Dennis Allen talk, if I told you how much money House and I had on the Saints to win the division, you would never stop vomiting. You would, the pumpkin pie, the pecan pie would all come up nonstop for days and days and days.
Maybe you'll share that after Ringer Wise, guys. We want to keep that outside the family. We just got a text, by the way, from our esteemed boss, our pal Bill Simmons. Quote, "The Bills suck." So you know what? That's fine, Bill. And I you know me, Raheem, as someone that has a sizable chunk on the Miami Dolphins to win the division, I'm not exactly waving Buffalo Bill pom-poms, but to me, you cannot have a better spot here to take the Buffalo Bills. So you know what? We're riding together, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, there is no better spot. The Eagles are fraudulent. And I don't think people realize it just because this is the same team that went to the Super Bowl last year. But when you look at what they did last year, they beat up on bad teams last year. And now it's finally the spot where they're going to be facing actual good teams. If Josh Allen doesn't turn this ball over, we got this one.
Well, I think I'm going to tick off our boss even more because I have an SGP involving the worst game on the board today, and it's not even close. The Patriot-Giant game. It's the toilet bowl at MetLife Stadium. And guess what, Bill Simmons? Your Patriots are winning today. The Giants with Tommy DeVito are not winning back-to-back games. Give me New England on the money line. I'm going under because this game is going to be absolutely grotesque. I know it's 34. I don't care. Give me the under. Saquon Barkley will score a touchdown now because he's all the Giants got from a playmaker perspective. And then your buddy Pop Douglas, who you love so much, over 49.5 receiving yards. And look at that payout. We are going big for New England and the Giants at MetLife Stadium, plus 1888. It sounds like a hotline number. My goodness, I feel like I'm going to get into trouble dialing a number like that. But that is our SGP, boys. I know Simmons is going to be thrilled, Salad. I'm taking his Patriots to win. You know, normally that would be kissing up to the boss.
Yeah.
But because he's in tankathon mode, he's probably not happy with me right now.
He'll be happy because Simmons has added and dropped the Mario Douglas in our various fantasy leagues at least a dozen times over the last 6 or 7 weeks. So he's all with you.
Wow, this is going to be a big week for Pop Douglas. All right, guys, let's see the board of who's in, who's out for week 12 across the board. T. Higgins out for Cincinnati. Dallas Goedert, that's a big one for Philadelphia. He will not play. Odell Beckham Jr. will give it a go, and this is big to me in that Vegas-Kansas City game. Max Crosby, who's one of the best defensive players in the league, even though he's sick, he's a warrior. He will be out there. So that's our board as far as who's in and who's out. Guys, we put together a hell of a family meal a week ago. Well, it's not going anywhere. It's post-Thanksgiving. It's now time for our Week 12 ringer. Wise Guy, family meal, house. You got a tough act to follow after the antipasto. What do we got, buddy?
I'll tell you what, fellas, you never know who you're going to run into in the buffet line. I kid you not, as I was at my esteemed dinner, I ran into an very esteemed actor, and it was right by
Cousin
the deviled
Greg!
eggs.
How about that?
Cousin Greg the Egg from Succession. I'm telling you, it was right by the deviled eggs. He and I were best friends now. Speaking of best friends, how about a little 6-point teaser here? 2-legger, 2 good buddies. We're taking the Cleveland Browns from 1.5 up to 7.5. Want to get through the 3 and the 7 on the road at Denver. I think this game is going to be scarce in terms of points. I like the Browns' blueprint, what they did last week in terms of handling the Steelers. They just come out and do it again to poor Russell Wilson. The Broncos' offense, outside of turnover fortune, has been somewhat anemic. I don't see them going long distances against this Browns defense, the best by all metrics in the NFL. So I like the idea of getting above 7 points for the Browns. And then look, I'm on these Texans. More than a touchdown for the Houston Texans at home in this divisional matchup. We went through all of the X's and O's earlier about why it's a good matchup for Houston. I'm not messing around with the low number. Just get me through the 7. This is a perfect teaser. I don't know anybody that's going to mess it up because me and Greg the Egg combined are unstoppable.
Well, I like the dog day tease, and I love the fact that Cousin Greg is involved. So the fact that you're using a tease with 2 dogs, I think that sounds appetizing. All right, Raheem, now it's time for our main course. What do you got, buddy?
Okay, so House is using a tease with two dogs. I'm also using a tease with 2 dogs, and we got a turkey leg for our meal today. House already broke down why he liked the Cleveland Browns. I mean, this Broncos team, they generated 10 more turnovers than everybody else over the last 3 games. In addition, I'll say the Broncos are 31st in DVOA against the run and 30th in rushing EPA. So the Browns are going to be able to run the ball. This total is only 35.5. So at 35, you're looking at more value for those Browns teaser legs at plus 7.5. I'm also going to tease that with the Falcons at plus 7.5. Look, do you really want to lay points as a road favorite with Derek Carr? This guy is 6-17 against the spread as a road favorite. So I just don't think the Saints team is built to cover margin here, particularly without Michael Thomas. And then when you look at the Saints run defense, they've been solid. However, they had the second easiest schedule of opposing run offenses in the NFL. I expect Bijan Robinson to really get off in this spot. So I love the Falcons on a teaser, along with the Browns plus 7.5.
I like it, Raheem, and I'm certainly drooling thinking about that turkey leg. That looks absolutely fantastic, amigo. Now, guys, I'm going to a tease that is so gross. We got to balance it out with something sweet. And that would be Mom's pumpkin pie. Mom cooked those up. We had one. I'm going to have some right after the show. We brought the other to Aunt Sandra's. It got absolutely destroyed. But this tease is so gross, we needed something sweet. Here's what we're going to do. We're taking the Carolina Panthers and bumping them up because the Tennessee Titans look like a team that has mailed it in. So I don't see Tennessee winning with margin. I also don't see the Pittsburgh Steelers winning with margin. I know Matt Canada got fired. I know everyone's saying it's going to be a coming out party for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. There's too much pride from people from Staten Island, New York. Lou Anarumo is going to have that defense, the Staten Island native, ready to go against Pittsburgh. And I know it's Jake Browning, and I know you got to hold your nose. This tease is so gross, it's stinky. I promise you the pumpkin pie will balance it out, and it will be a winner. Bengals plus the 8, the Carolina Panthers plus the 9.5. Sal, last but not least.
Well, I'm a little flustered, I have to admit, JJ, because I am now no longer the most famous cousin on Ringer Wise Guys. It didn't take much, but there you go, Cousin Greg. Congratulations. You're right there. And I'm going to get flustered again as we show this picture of Dolly Parton, who was at my house for Thanksgiving. At least it seemed like that. She was larger than life on my television. What a way to make a living. Look at Dolly there, 77 years old. I'm really, my grandmother at 77 looked like Danny Aiello with fake eyelashes. Nothing like that. What does this have to do with Derrick Henry to score an anytime touchdown? I have no idea, but that's what I'm taking. Minus 115. This Panthers defense is the team to do it against. Tony Pollard scored. He was in a drought. Foreman for the Bears. Jonathan Taylor scored. Mostert had 2, JJ, against them a few weeks ago. Derrick Henry has gone 2 weeks without scoring a touchdown. The last time he went 3 weeks was in a flag football game as a third grader. He had chicken pox for 2 of the weeks and then came back the third week. This is King Henry's time to shine. Minus 115 to hit pay dirt.
I like it. And my fantasy team desperately needs it because Derrick Henry has been MIA these last couple of weeks. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up Ringer Wise Guys with a bang. We have all sorts of YouTube comments, and there are multiple ways you can reach our show via email, via YouTube comments, via Twitter. I mean, there are just a zillion ways to get in touch with us. Guys, I'm going to throw this one at you right out of the gate. Kansas City for the first half. This one comes from BG. It's at minus 4.5 for the first quarter. It's not even a first half bet, Raheem, at plus 170. Chiefs, they got off to a fast start today. You like that?
There's sharp money on the Raiders today. You look at the way these Chiefs, the Chiefs offenses perform. I don't want to go anywhere near them today. So I wish you the best of luck, but I'm staying away.
Yeah, and listen, as someone now that has their heart set on the Miami Dolphins having home field advantage throughout in the AFC, I am a big Vegas Raider fan today. That's right. Antonio Pierce. By the way, Sal, Antonio Pierce, 3-0 against the spread so far. Are you waiting for the other shoe to drop? I feel like the Raiders, to Raheem's point, are going to be spunky and spirited in this game.
You know what? They play hard for him, but a lot of it has to do with Max Crosby's effectiveness, right? He didn't practice all week. He's a gamer. We know we haven't seen a player like him in a while, but will he be able to get to Mahomes? I wonder if Mahomes sees that Kadarius Toney is out and he's like, oh, thank God. That's 4 drops I don't have to worry about, or any of these guys. I can't believe how they haven't been able to find a receiver for him that can hang on to the ball. But as far as, I just advise taking them in the second half. First half might be where they shine. I'm not sure. I have the Chiefs on money line parlays everywhere, so it's probably a bet I got. Where did House go? I worry about House. I see his show. Oh, there he is. Wait, okay.
Is House eating? That's not allowed, House. That's not allowed. I want to have some food. I didn't eat breakfast yet. I even wanted to have some of that pumpkin pie.
He's texting Cousin Greg. I'm not sure. All right,
he
now
might be. Raheem, you're not going to like this one. This one comes from Ben Barrett. Who have the Cowboys beat exactly? Quote unquote frauds. See, I got a problem with this. And I'm going to have your back on this one, guys. I'm going to have your back, Sal. I'm going to have your back, Raheem. You can only beat who's on your schedule. And this narrative and nonsensical narrative that, oh, you have to beat a winning team in order to show what you are as a team. No, beat the winning teams in the playoffs, Raheem. I don't want to hear this about the Cowboys and the Dolphins. They're 8-3 for a reason.
The biggest thing is they're not struggling with these teams. Like, they're beating the crap out of them. Like, so it'd be one thing if they're playing these teams and they're winning by 3 or, they need comebacks. Like, Washington was never in that game. And you can say that for so many of the bad teams that they're beating up. So I think that says a lot about who this Cowboys team is. And they probably should have beat the Eagles. We know that. So y'all can keep talking.
That's exactly
We'll see what
right.
happens.
That's exactly right, JJ. Raheem hit it on the head. Like, these are people who feel bad because they didn't bet the Cowboys against Washington on Thanksgiving. They didn't bet them against Carolina. And by the way, we've mopped up these teams. We can't win because if we lose against Arizona, it's like, you lost to that crap team. But if we beat all the cupcakes on the schedule, it's like, you get no credit for that. But Raheem said it. Did we have a chance to win that game against the Eagles? That's all you need to know. We got wiped up by the 49ers, but did we have a chance to win? That's our team right there. Just short of beating what's seen as the best team in the NFL. So we're right there.
We have an honorable mention before we say goodbye. Indianapolis, Tampa. I have no desire to bet this game. My thought is, Raheem, when in doubt, take points. Where do you stand on Indy and Tampa?
I like Tampa in this game. I don't trust this Colts defense at all. I'm not really a big Gardner Minshew guy, so I would just roll with the underdog. I think Tampa as a money line dog, I think it's a good spot. That was probably going to be one of my picks, but
see, I'm with you. I would grab the points in that spot, Sal. I'm not betting this game, but I mean, the idea of laying points with Indianapolis just sounds silly.
Yeah, well, there's a reason we didn't talk about this game for 56 minutes because it's a toss-up, but I do feel like, I feel like Mayfield has one in him. Rashad White's absence might be glaring, but I would take Tampa if I had to.
Well, guys, that's going to do it for our Week 12 edition of Ringer Wise.
House looks good.
Look at House, that's the best House has ever looked. All I know is if my internet ever goes out, guys, can we get me like a stealth, cool-looking like graphic like that, maybe with some sunglasses and a straight brim hat, or maybe the watch that Mike McDaniel is wearing? Like, I need something that maybe is even.
Yeah, he's like balancing the moon on his fedora. It's like quite pleasant, I have to say.
Hey, but for Joe House, Cousin Sal, Raheem Palmer, John Jastremski signing off. We will be back on our digital streaming platform. Bonus time, more bets, more YouTube comments, more fun coming your way. That's going to do it for the Wise Guys. We'll see you next Sunday at 11 Eastern. We're back for bonus time, Ringer Wise Guys, on all our digital platforms. It's Sal, it's Raheem, and yes, Joe House has rejoined the proceedings. And, House, I was about to blame your internet. I was about to give you crap for that. And you actually just spoiled why you missed the last minute or two of Wise Guys. So I think it's your duty and your obligation to share with the audience what the hell just happened.
JJ, it's still a holiday weekend until 12:01 Monday. I needed a drink, but I don't have clearance. I don't know what the internet rules, the FCC rules, the FanDuel rules are for drinking out of a green bottle. I went to my bottle and knocked over the internet connection. But I'm back, and I tell you what, the drink was worth it.
House's drinking problem rears its ugly head again. Can't even get us into digital time.
House, very, very disappointed. But You should be happy to know they had a great graphic of you that we had up in the 4 box while you missed the last minute or two of the show. Just saying.
Very
How
slimming.
can you go wrong? I'm always handsome.
Well, I don't know if you'd like this more. There we go.
There
What do
he
you think,
is.
House? Gonna have to work on that. I give it a very what do we give that, Sal? An A-?
I like it. I think we should show him spilling a drink somewhere in there, but I think that's the only thing missing. Yeah.
All right, we'll work on that. Next week, Jack, get me a graphic of House spilling a drink, and then we'll be set. All right, we got one more honorable mention to get to, guys. And we hit on the Bucs and the Colts, House, while you were gone. I will give you the honors on the Rams and the Cardinals today. We talked about the Rams being a team that could potentially be involved for stealing or snaking one of those playoff spots. Cardinals have looked better with Kyler Murray. What do you stand on the Rams and the Cardinals today?
Yeah, I like Dreams incline on the Rams now as a potential playoff entrant at plus 420. Love that number. But I do think that this instance, I like them against the Cardinals. The Cardinals have been able to surprise folks a little bit because it's a version that nobody saw all season long in the absence of Kyler Murray. Murray's back, so now we have 2 full weeks, 2 full game films of Kyler Murray, and the Rams are intimately familiar with Kyler Murray and the kind of threat that he poses. So this is an instance where you're being asked to invest in Sean McVay outdueling Jonathan Gannon. I think it's okay. I think we can go ahead and lean with that. Only a point that you have to lay here. I like the Rams in this spot.
Raheem, I like the Rams as well, and I'm getting on board with that bet to make the postseason. I think it's imperative that they go and win this game today. Would you tie the two together?
Yeah, I definitely would. When I look at this Cardinals team, this is a really poor defense. 31st in DVOA, 29th against the pass, and 29th against the run. So I expect the Rams to be able to get whatever they want in this matchup. And I think you're getting some value. And I said this earlier about the Texas game. CJ Stroud threw 3 interceptions and multiple interceptions in the red zone last week. So if the Texans win that game by 7, 10, 14, 21 points, like they should have done, this spread is a lot higher. And it feels like it's being suppressed based on what we saw. So I really like the Rams in this spot. And I think, like I said before, if they win this game, those playoff odds are going to be chopped in half.
Sal, you want to make it a family play?
I can't. I'm sorry. I mean, it's mostly a stay away for me, but I think I root for Arizona because everyone says they're tanking, which is a ridiculous thought to me in the NFL. But Arizona could be the Chargers of the NFC. They could be like, you know what? We're going to play gritty. We're going to play tough. We're going to play down in the fourth quarter, and it's going to be one play that makes a difference. So if you have to, I don't know. I sort of like them in the spot. Beginning of the year, I took them to win this game. I still have the games that I circled every week from 1 to 17, and in a disgusting fashion, I still follow it. I like Arizona.
How have those been going, by the way? Like, is your record on the positive or the negative for the games that you circled back in like May?
Really good. I mean, the Jets, everything holds true for the Jets. I think something might have happened in week 1 to that. But no, I think I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. As long as the Vikings somehow make the playoffs, I'll be okay.
And I give you credit for that one because it was pretty contrarian when everybody was selling their Minnesota stock. You actually bought some Minnesota stock. Guys, now it's time to advise the wise guys. Wise guys, please advise. What's up, wise guys? I'm looking to end my holiday weekend on a win to help keep away those Sunday scaries. They are real. They are spectacular. Lamar Jackson, anytime touchdown on FanDuel is at plus 145. That's a no-brainer, right? Yours in wagering. Anthony, that smells like a rat. I'm just throwing it out there. That smells like a rat. I feel like Baltimore has been running around the goal line a lot more. All of a sudden, Zay Flowers and Odell Beckham Jr. are a lot more involved in the offense. Raheem, I am absolutely out on that pick. I would not advise that. That seems too good to be true. No, I do not give it my blessing.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to call it a no-brainer at all. I mean, when you look at Lamar Jackson, he has to hit that. At minus 145, you have to hit that nearly 60% of the time. So it's possible, but he hasn't hit this in his last 2 games. And it's not like, I mean, it's not like this is the Greg Roman version of the Ravens offense. So I'm gonna stay away from this one.
Yeah, I think it's more like 4 games. I'm looking at it now. He's only rushed for touchdowns in 3 of the 11 games. Yeah, so I don't think the numbers are there for him there. So and to what Raheem said about cousin Greg Roman, I agree. I'm not sure what their plan is offensively.
House, do you have that in your parlay? I don't even remember.
No. I wouldn't. I have Gus Edwards, who gets every single touch inside the 5-yard line. All they do is put Gus Edwards in, and he cannibalizes every single rushing touchdown for this team. So I get a Lamar touchdown is from distance, from outside the red zone. Because as soon as they get inside the red zone, it's either short passes to Zay Flowers or ODB if he's healthy, or it's just plow straight ahead with Gus Edwards. So I don't like plus 145. You're not getting enough return for how unlikely this is to occur.
Now, I'll throw this out there. I do have Lamar Jackson, big fantasy league, trying to win first place, most points, the whole deal. So if he wants to score anytime, please. Be my
you
guest.
should have just told us. You should have led with that, JJ. That's our answer right there.
Sometimes, Sal, you learn in the Newhouse School of Journalism, the fine institution at Syracuse University, that you bury the lead. So that's what I decided to do there. I used my journalistic instincts to bury the lead. All right. We'll have Sheil, Solak. They got extra point taken. I finally get the show name right. I'll probably screw it up next week, but they got their insight and their analysis. It's coming up.
All right. We are back on extra point taken. Here we go. 3 picks against the spread. I've got 3 written down with the 4th that I'm kind of looking at saying, Sheil, it's kind of looking at me saying, you sure you don't want him to throw me in there and replace one of those other ones? But I think I'm probably going to stick with 3. Don't feel good about these as usual. My confidence is at an all-time low with picking NFL games. But you know what? Here we are. We'll see what happens. All right. So you start us off. What do you got?
My first one is a Steelers -1.5 against the Bengals. This was one that obviously I talked about a little bit at the top. I talked about why I like this game. Bengals defense giving up a ton of explosives. I also do like just the over in this game at 35.5. I feel like that is too low, and they're still very well in the playoff hunt. So this is going to be a big game for them. Steelers -1.5 against the Bengals is a big one for me.
All right. My first one, I'm taking the Minnesota Vikings -3 against the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football. So like say, Bears are playing pretty well. We'll see here. Okay. Vikings lost a tough one against the Broncos last week. I thought they thoroughly outplayed them. I think Kevin O'Connell's done a good job with that Vikings offense so far this season. Minnesota's at home. It's a field goal game. I like the Vikings to take care of business at home against the Chicago Bears Monday night.
I hear the logic. I think I'm a little bit higher on the Bears than you are.
I think that's true. All right. What do you have for your second game?
Okay. Do you promise not to bully me?
Oh, I wonder if we're on the same side here. Okay. What do you got?
Falcons +1.5 against the Saints.
Yeah.
Ritter's back, baby. Let's go. The thing that has always hurt Dennis Allen has been mobile quarterbacks. Has been quarterbacks who are involved in the read option game, involved in the running game, and can scramble. And we know that Ritter has been that over his time starting for the Falcons. I like give the young man a couple of weeks, reset your head, settle in. Strong Desmond Ritter performance on out. A lot of lines this week, smelly. This one, I like my Falcons. I'm riding or dying with the Dirty Birds. Here we go.
Well, that's a nice setup from Benny Souls to his co-host. We've had a lot of reps. I like the Bills +3 at the Eagles.
Walk me
as
through
my
it.
second lock. This was 3.5, and I was like, come on. And then I checked before we record. It goes to 3, but I'm like, you know what, Sheil, you're taking it anyway. Don't second guess this. All right, so I do think the Bills are going to be able to move the football and score some points on this Eagles defense. Eagles coming off an emotional win in Kansas City, come back, short week. They got the Niners next week in a huge game. I know it's not like a trap game. It's a good opponent, all those things. And Jalen Hurts is always very steady. But you know what? I had to pick a game, and I'm going with the Bills +3 at Philadelphia.
If you want to fix culture quick, you want to fix the 10 around the team quick, beat the defending NFC champions with only one loss in their home stadium, that's a big game.
I'm going to keep refreshing FanDuel, see if I can get that 3.5 back. That would make me feel this feels like a 3-point Eagles win, but maybe it won't be. Who knows? All right. What do you have for your third lock of the week?
Chiefs -10 against the Raiders. The Chiefs in wins this season, they have 7 wins. They're 6-1 against the spread. They don't feel like a team that has been dominating in their wins, but they have actually done such a nice job controlling the ball in the second half, stringing together long drives. They aren't really giving up backdoor covers. Now, this is the Chiefs defense that, man, they'll mess you up. Like, I mean, the way that this team hits, the Raiders have been very yak oriented under Aiden O'Connell, the way this team hits tackles, and then the way they change pictures on you. It's just not the sort of defense a rookie quarterback wants to be facing. I think a Chiefs big win against the Raiders is could be just what the doctor ordered. I like the -10.
Best defense by far they've ever had with Patrick Mahomes. So I like that side. Also, it's not one of my picks, but I did pick the Chiefs in my column. All right, my last one. You tell me if this qualifies for stupidest bet Shield will make all season. This is another one. I liked it, really liked it when I had that extra half point. That extra half point has disappeared. I'm taking the Los Angeles Chargers +3. First of all, I do like to sort of like a side when it feels like no one should like that side. You know, that's a good spot to be in. And no reasonable person should be taking the Chargers in this spot.
They lost the Lions game by 3. They lost the Packers game by 3. 3.5 sure would feel nice. Just because this team is so bad in the fourth quarter. They're so bad situationally. So that 3-point deficit feels like it could be important.
We want to congratulate our guy Solak, who is going to be a father. Congratulations to him.
Congratulations.
I know Sal and House, you guys are a part of that club. I'll maybe join you in a couple of years. We'll see.
Is Shield going to be the godfather? Can we take odds on that? I mean, he's got to be -7,000. What a slap in the face if he's not.
Well, House, I got to say, I can't steal your thunder on this, but if we're doing baby names, you had a couple of good ideas for Solak, did you not?
Well, I mean, you know, he lives in a world that with information that's way above my head. But I thought, you know, maybe A-Dot could be a good, at least a nickname. And then, you know, if it's a girl, DVOA has a very nice rolls off the tongue.
Lovely.
So.
That's lovely.
How about this? How about this, Devin? Because it works in D-V-O. You know, we're getting there. So. Solak, if you're watching right now, we're advising you on what you and your wife should do for baby names. So I know that's exactly what you wanted to hear, but hey, that's what we do in bonus time of Ringer Wise guys. All right, speaking of a guest and a buddy of ours that likes to join the show, I think way too often. I think he just wants the open invite. I think he actually wants like a paid segment on the show. So Simmons, if you're watching right now, maybe we take care of Danny Heitz. Danny Heitz of Ringer NFL and Ringer Fantasy Football fame. Do you want a paid spot on this show? If you do, don't ask me or Sal. Ask Simmons, okay?
Yeah, I'm just that guy that you said come by anytime and then actually comes by whenever. You're like, all right, we didn't think you'd actually take us up on that.
No, see, I actually am glad that you do. We like people who take us up on our offers, but I'm just trying to get something out of it for you now. I'm already trying to be your agent and negotiate a little bit. That's all.
That's what the bets are for. We're making money on the show, you know? Anything else, just a little gravy.
I like the sound of that. So right out of the get-go here, what is your first bet for the Wise guys?
Oh, did you want? I just have a bunch of baby names for Solak. Did you want bets?
Oh, you do? What do you have? Do you have Amanda? Do you have Jack?
I had EPA per play. I had EPA. EPA, I don't know. There's something
Epa.
there.
All right, Epa Solak, I'm in. Epa Solak, I'm in.
Yeah, there's something there.
Oh, my God.
It's better than like Gertrude. I don't know. It's like bring back the grandparents generation. But for bets, I don't know. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a huge Giants fan. 15 years ago, the Giants made the Super Bowl, and I put $100 on the Patriots to win the game. And I was in 7th grade, so $100 was like 200 units. And I was like, you know what? If the Giants win, I'll never care about the money. And if the Patriots win, I'll be sad, but at least I'll help be a little richer. It worked. Did it again with the Giants Super Bowl. The second time it worked. And now we have the Bizarro trilogy. We have the Bizarro third Super Bowl, Giants, Patriots, both worst 2 teams of the league, both trying to lose. And I'm flipping it. I'm betting the Giants money line, which at what, plus 180, basically. Giants to win the game. I have real reasons, but I'm being totally transparent. This is also just an emotional bet where if the Giants win, I'll be upset that they're going to have a worse draft pick, but at least they'll make money. But really, Patriots win. And then that then worst case, if the Patriots win, I'll be thrilled and I won't care that I lost the bet because the Giants are going to have a higher pick and can get Drake May.
So hold on a second now, Raheem. We say hedging is for gardeners on this show. How do we feel about emotional hedging? Is that still for gardeners or no?
I can rock with emotional hedging. I just can't get over the fact that Danny was in 7th grade during that Super Bowl. I was a senior in college, so you're making me feel old right now.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. I remember celebrating that Super Bowl with all sorts of Giant fans. And Danny, you'd be proud of me for this, even though I've gotten a lot of crap in my life for being a New Yorker who roots for the Miami Dolphins. I can swear to you, God is my witness, and a whole lot of kids on the Syracuse University campus, I celebrated that Giant Super Bowl like one of my teams won a championship, the David Tyree catch. I mean, I'm talking about champagne and cigars and the whole deal, Sal. Sal, you had to be rooting for the Giants.
No, I was one of the many, championship games, Red Sox, Yankees, Patriots, Giants, that I could not root for either team. If you're friends with Bill Simmons, you cannot root for a Boston team. And if you have, idiot Giant fans growing up in New York, friends, you can't root for the Giants. But I'm going to say something about this Heitz bet. If he looks at the entire board and has the Giants plus 176 as his best bet, this had better be a paid segment. Simmons, you got to step up, send him an Amazon gift card or something, because this poor guy is losing money hand over fist if this is his best bet. I'm sorry.
Listen, he's going with his emotional hedge logic. So that's what it boils down to. I don't think there's any football acumen when it comes to this one. And normally Danny is giving us all sorts of football acumen. Now, Giants money line is pick number 1. Pick 2, Danny.
Just because I'm a glutton for punishment and just I keep watching the show but not listening to anything Raheem says, I'm going to parlay the Giants with the Ravens. For, what is it? Plus 344. I don't know.
You know what though? At least you're not teasing through 0. I think Raheem likes
long as you don't tease through 0, we good.
Just wait. Later, I'll find something to do it with. No, the Giants Ravens. It's probably dumb to parlay the two together, but I really do think the Giants are going to win the game just because I think the Giants. At the end of the day, if you would prefer instead of the money line to just go like the Giants and the points, I think Giants Patriots at the end of the day, they're two teams who have scored below their implied team total. Like they've reached it less than any other teams in the league. So I'm kind of like, just take the points there. I also think Giants actually, unfortunately might win the game. So you go money line. The Ravens, I know you guys have been talking about the Ravens for so much of the show, but I would like to just inject again, since Bill, just paying me to show up here. The Chargers are cursed. Like the Chargers are a cursed franchise. And JJ, I hear what you're saying. Like it is kind of a rat line. You'd think it'd be more at the Ravens. Part of me wonders how much it's influenced by Lamar being a little hobbled on a primetime game not so long ago. But I think that the Ravens, the Chargers defense is basically allowing 50% more yards per drive than the Ravens defense. Like you're looking at the Ravens defense is top 3 in the NFL at preventing teams from reaching the red zone. The Chargers are bottom 3 in the NFL. 41% of opponent drives for the Chargers reach the red zone. Right. So then you're looking at everything. And I'm like, Mike McDonald, the Ravens defensive coordinator, might be the best defensive coordinator in the league. And the Chargers, Brandon Staley, and you saw that press conference. It's like if Brandon Staley was playing poker, you would tell him that he has to fold his cards till he got his breathing under control. Like I just look at this is like the ultimate mismatch of management and of talent and of health. And then also everyone around Herbert with this Chargers team. Austin Eckler has not been the same guy since this high ankle sprain. Jalen Guyton's banged up, might play. Gerald Everett, the tight end, is banged up. Mike Williams and Josh Palmer on IR. Keenan Allen's got a shoulder injury. Quentin Johnson, it's early, but the rookie out of TCU looks like a bust. And I'm looking at this Chargers team, and I'm like, this is the Chargers. They're blowing late leads, and everyone's hurt, and they can't play defense. And I'm like, it's the same old, same old. So I'm like, I got to take a winning team with a winning DNA with the Ravens.
I understand that. And you know what I'm actually going to do, Danny? Forget about anything other than we will bet this parlay heads up because I'm going to take a Charger Patriot money line parlay and I'm going to go calculate it on FanDuel and see what it pays. So you know what's going to happen with these games. We're going to get a split. That's a guarantee because I'm going to go throw in a Patriot Charger parlay and you're going to have a Raven Giant parlay. We're all going to lose. You know it, Sal. We're all going to lose.
Well, I hate to put this out there, but as long as Danny's talking about curses and he's right about the Chargers being cursed, don't have to have followed them for the last decade to see that. But you know what else is cursed? AFC North quarterbacks. We saw Deshaun Watson go down. We saw Joe Burrow go down. I don't want to even put it out there. The Steelers are probably the most cursed team quarterback-wise in the AFC North because they have to stick with Kenny Pickett. But you mentioned how he's hobbled in primetime games. You know what? Forget it. I didn't even say it. I didn't put it out there. So good. I'm holding back on that. There you go.
I think the most cursed person right now is Bill Belichick without Tom Brady. I mean, I really see him potentially losing to Tommy, don't call me Danny DeVito, and probably getting fired or resigning at the end of the season. Like, isn't that how this Patriots season has gone?
Well, it's been bad, and we do know at some point in time there's not going to be happily ever after for the Patriots, and that is such a beautiful thing. They don't deserve happily ever after. You know what they deserve? 20 years of crap. That's what they deserve. After what they got with Brady and Belichick from 2001, when they basically stole the Rams signals, by the way, in that Super Bowl game, just throwing that one out there. Winning 3 out of 4. I get it. They're great. Vrabel, McGinnis, the Patriot way. Enough. But today, go Pats. Just throwing that one out there. Go Pats, go Pats, go Pats. All right, Danny, what's pick number 3?
Well, I mean, on that note, Sal, I don't know if that was on or off the record with all the AFC North quarterbacks getting hurt, but I don't. Maybe I'm off the record. Well, a little birdie told me that a bunch of quarterbacks in the AFC North are hurt, and the bad ones are still healthy. But the future bet I really like is the Ravens are still minus 200, minus 220 to win the division. Which maybe I'm a simp. I probably am, but I'm like I'm looking at a division where the Ravens defense is just as good, if not very similar to the Browns. The Browns now have Dorian Thompson-Robinson, a rookie quarterback at a UCLA 5th rounder, is a starting quarterback for the Browns. And they also have a bunch of injuries on the O-line for the Browns. The Steelers, I mean, look, we're out here celebrating like we won World War II that Matt Canada is fired, but it's like they still have to fire their coordinator because they can't gain more yards than the other team. The Steelers are still like, odds are, they probably not going to have more than 8 or 9 wins. And then you're looking at this Bengals team without Joe Burrow, and I'm like, the Ravens are minus 200. I feel like, I don't know, Raheem, like maybe you could explain it, but I'm like, I don't know if this is just a function of there's so many teams that are statistically still in it that it's a tough bet. But I look at the context of these teams, and I'm like, how are the Ravens minus 200? Like, I don't know what I'm missing, honestly.
I mean, at minus 200, you're still looking at, well, like, what's the math on that? You're still looking at, like a 67% chance of winning, which feels accurate, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you don't want to put that at, minus 5,000, 500 or so. I mean, just based on where they are statistically record-wise.
Yeah, I end up looking at everybody's schedule. I'm like, wow, that's a miserable schedule. That's a tough schedule. And the Ravens are no different. Even if they get back by this Chargers team, they're at the Jaguars, they're at the Niners, they're home for JJ's Dolphins, and then they end the season in a game that may or may not mean something against the Steelers, which is never going to be easy. But minus 200 does sound right.
Hi, Fitz. You're not going to be happy to hear this. I have the Ravens to win the division, which we bet a couple of weeks ago. We talked about it on the world famous East Coast Bias. I got it at plus 135.
Wow.
So the bottom line is this. I may have a plus. You may have a minus. I still think it's a winning wager. So, yeah, you're not getting the best of the number, but sign me up. All right, let's get to weekly specials. House, weekly special time. I got your attention, which is what I'm looking to do here in bonus time. The floor is yours. What do you got?
Well, in the connection with the previous discussion, I would have bet Brandon Staley as the second coach to be fired. The runway is clear now that Rowboat Ron, they decided to make Jack Del Rio the sacrificial lamb. Rowboat Ron's safe for the rest of the season. But instead, I'm playing the Buffalo Bills as the highest scoring team of Sunday. And a lot of the wise guys here have made the case for why they prefer the Bills over the Eagles. I see this as a potential shootout this week. I think that the Eagles coming off of the short week, off a Monday night win, an emotional win, the Super Bowl rematch, they went out and handled their business. It's a bad matchup for them in terms of where they're weak. They're weak in the secondary, and the Bills, with new offensive coordinator Joe Brady, a little bit of an unknown kind of script potentially. So 15-1 for the Bills at the highest scoring team. I like Josh Allen to cook. The middle of the field against the Eagles defense is open. I like Dalton Kincaid to get his numbers. Stephon Diggs coming out of the slot. The Eagles are terrible against slot receivers. I like the idea of the Buffalo Bills scoring some points here, fellas.
I do too. And listen, there's no secret. We are big on the Bills today. Sal has it for an SGP. Raheem and I, it's our dog of the week. Danny, weekly special. I saw yours. I took a peek. It's a fun one. So please share. Please enlighten.
My special for the week, I just like every team in the 1 o'clock window to have a field goal. It's 5-1. I don't know. There's a bunch of weird stuff going on. Again, it's like weird quarterbacks, but I just think it's a fun one. And also kickers are having like a renaissance. We're not talking about it a lot because there's a lot of quarterback injuries, but do you guys remember, I feel like even 10, 12 years ago, it was like a big deal when a team tried a 60-yard field goal.
Yes.
Like it used to be like a thing when they used to attempt a 60-yarder. Now, there have been, I believe, a third of all 60-yard field goals ever made have been in the last 3 years. And a ridiculous portion of field goals over 55 yards, I think it's like 20% that have been made, have happened in the last like 4 years. So we have like this weird thing happening simultaneously with fourth down, where we have more fourth down aggressiveness. But the drives failing are also part of what's weird is the field goal conversion rate is the kickers are just better than they've ever been. So I just like the 5-1. I think it's pretty solid for the 1 o'clock window.
You know what? I like
I'm
this.
tailing it. I'm tailing that. I'm actually getting on the FanDuel app right now, and I'm going to bet it. Sal, lowest scoring game of the day. First of all, went with the highest. I want to hear the lowest.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you that. But Dan, I love this one from Dan. Usually, I think these are stupid. Every team is going to score a field goal. First of all, there's only 6 1 p.m. games, right? You have it for the 1 p.m. slot. 3 of them are in domes. Okay, so you don't have to worry about weather. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati might only be field goals. Same with Giants and Patriots. So I think you got 5 taken care of right there. But
I'm betting it right now. Listen, I'm not messing around. I'm putting my money where Danny's mouth is. I'm betting it right now.
While you're on that app, JJ, hit the Broncos and Browns lowest scoring game 5-1. You got check down, Russell, hustle, and bustle. He'd be dumb to try to put together an aerial assault against the Browns, who I don't think we give enough love to the Browns. Top 5 teams in the last 20 years against the pass on a per possession basis. Their defense ranks first in points, 1.2, and yards, 18.6. Fewest yards per drive in 20 years. Denver's not going to be so easy. Their defense on DTR, they've allowed 15 points a game over the last 5. This could be a 14-13 final. Gets me close to 5-1 odds on that.
I like it. And that game has gross potential written all over it. All right, we got, 2 more weekly specials to get to. Raheem, what's your weekly special?
I'm going to go with the Houston, Texas, Jacksonville Jaguars highest scoring game plus 460. This has a potential to be a shootout. You saw last week, CJ Stroud threw 3 interceptions, a ton of interceptions in the red zone. The Cardinals, they had multiple opportunities to score, but Kyler Murray was a little bit off. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to, as I said before, the Texans had a ton of offensive linemen banged up in the hospital, not playing. They still put up 37 points. Jaguars only had 17, so I think you might get like a 20, 27, 30 type game, 24, 30, 35, 28 type game. So I like a lot of points in this game.
Hi, Fitz. Would you throw a wager on the Texans to win the division right now? Because if they win this game, I think they're going to win the division.
Absolutely, because I think the Texans are like plus 130 to win the division right now. But if they win this one, they'll have the 2 head-to-head versus the Jags and be tied. So I think that's a very natural tail along with Raheem's bet.
Hi, Fitz. I'm giving you a parting thought. I forgot your player prop. You're the fantasy extraordinaire. What's the player prop for today?
Oh my God. Mike Evans over 67.5 yards. So Mike Evans, he's got double-digit targets the last 2 weeks. I mean, you guys saw it should have been more than that. He dropped a couple touchdowns over the last couple of weeks, but they're playing the Colts, who get burned by their outside cornerbacks. The Julius Brents is inactive today, so their outside cornerbacks. Sorry, I wrote this down because I couldn't actually believe it. There are 2 Jalen Johnsons in the NFL. The Colts have the second best Jalen Johnson in the NFL. He's a 7th-round rookie, and their other starting outside cornerback is an undrafted free agent who's in his 2nd season, who has 4 starts to his name. These guys have to stop Mike Evans. The second best Jalen Johnson has to stop the number 1 best Mike Evans. I don't think that's very good.
Danny?
There's way too many Jalen's out here. I mean, the Oklahoma City Thunder have like multiple gyms. Now you're telling me there's multiple Jalen Johnsons in the NFL? Like, come on, man. I know Jalen Rose is a legend, but we gotta be original at some point.
I was gonna recommend Jalen Johnson as Solak's son's name, but I don't know. There are some other better options, I think, than throwing.
I think EPA. I think EPA Solak is gonna go and take the cake. All right, Danny. As we know, you like coming on the show, so maybe we'll see you next week. But if not, we'll see you before Christmas. I guarantee you that.
We'll see if I actually make any money.
Well, I can't promise that. And hopefully that parlay, that giant Raven parlay is going down in flames. Hey, somebody's got to win. Fun show for Heitz, for Cousin Sal, for Joe House, Raheem Palmer. John Jastremski signing off. We'll be back next week at 11 a.m. Eastern. Then, of course, we'll have our bonus time right after that. Enjoy all the football in Week 12. Hopefully a lot of wagers, cash and tickets. Until then, be good, everybody.